We're ready for our 6-furlong single-turn 2-year-old.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning as we kick off week number 4. And I'm thrilled because my next guest is in the house too, because I left my phone at home. Usually I text people reminders. I left my phone at home, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think we're all set. Everybody seemed game to go when I texted them yesterday. But we have our next guest up. It's Matt Miller, winner of the 2021 BCBC. We'll talk a little contest strategy with Matt and more, get a couple ideas for this afternoon as well. Looking forward to later on. Jose Santos Jr., again, the son of the former jockey of Funny Side, Jose Santos, but he's gone off and kind of, I would say, revolutionized the whole jockey agent side of things. So we'll talk to Jose Santos Jr. a little bit later on. But as always on a Wednesday, it's our regular visit from the rotation over at the Saratoga Special. This week, our friend Tom Law. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you today?
Very good. And you said you were out for a little run on a gorgeous Saratoga morning.
It was too good to pass up. You know,
it's
beautiful weather. We don't get this weather first week of August, ever.
Yeah.
And we've had it for a couple of days. It's been awesome. Yeah.
Sorry
about your phone, man. Bummer.
I know.
I'd be lost.
I did. And I was like,
we all are now.
I'm like halfway here, and I look down. It's like, oh, no. Yeah. And I momentarily debated turning around, and I barely made it by the skin of my teeth this morning. And then they locked me out. It must have been a loose horse. I got right to the gate. The guy starts to close the gate. No!
You can't get in. You need a minion or something to go get it for you. Come on.
That's right. Maybe I should. I should have a secretary or an intern.
Yeah. Oh, we got some.
That's a very good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. We don't make them do that kind of stuff.
No, because they are busy.
We're not trying to. It's not like a run for coffee internship.
Your interns are busy.
Yeah. Sorry,
but no. I was just going to add. You talked about the run this morning. I told you as we sat down. I took a walk in the park last night. Ooh, it was a gorgeous night. Yeah. As it was getting dark, I could hear a little Foreigner. I am not a Foreigner fan.
Yeah, that's right. I had some friends that were there.
They are clearly still popular because all the nooks and crannies for parking were taken. But I was. It was a really gorgeous night. So again. Great weather.
Well, it's the farewell tour, they say. I mean, how many farewell tours do they have? It's like the Eagles, right? It's the last tour.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Elton John to say, well, you know what? Second thought.
Yeah, I'll go around again. Yeah, it was a beautiful night. Sean and I were finishing up the paper in the office last night, and I think we always try to cognizantly just say just step outside for a few minutes. It was a beautiful night. I mean, our office overlooks the Oklahoma. So, I was on the phone with somebody and I was talking. I said, I'm looking over the Oklahoma right now. It was beautiful. And I was like, what's it like outside? Sometimes we're just in there for several hours.
Yeah, I have been. That's why I took the walk. It was really, by Sunday night, I headed home and crashed. And then I was really full out pretty much Monday and Tuesday as well. Yeah. Kind of trying to catch up. It seemed like I got behind last week. But you guys will be behind in about a week or so because here's today's edition of the Saratoga Special. We always pick it up on track, go around town, and you can pick it up. Or this is horseracing.com. You can get it online.
That's right.
But you're about to kick off your heavy stretch.
So that was issue number 7, which is crazy. It's already week 4. I heard you say that earlier, and I was thinking about it last night. Yeah, so we have a good stretch coming up. Friday, Hall of Fame days. We do a Friday edition, which we don't normally do. And then we go Saturday, Sunday for Whitney preview day, and then a Hall of Fame induction recap. Whitney recap on Sunday, and then we'd go right into the sales on Monday, Tuesday, kind of previewing everything that's going on over at sales grounds, in addition to the Sunday racing, which is cool. And then we wrap it all up in the Wednesday edition. So 6 in a row. It's a good stretch. It's a little different than the old days. The old days, when I first started, and even I think the longest stretch they ever did was 12. We did 12 days in a row. I mean, that's when we were on a a 4-day calendar, and we did like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And man, that sale, we'd recap that sale. That'd be Wednesday, so we'd start right in and go right to it. It was like, whew. Now we think 6 is a lot.
Yeah,
but yeah, big papers. Usually huge, great advertising support from all of our clients for the sales. So many the farms and the people selling yearlings, the stallion farms promoting stallions, and every other business really affiliated or kind of loosely affiliated with the industry. All the players will start showing up. A lot of them will be here, I'm sure, today. Jockey Club Roundtable in town tomorrow. And then the Hall of Fame Friday, then the Whitney, and then the sales. It's
I didn't mention that earlier. Yeah, glad you mentioned the Hall of Fame connections. If you want to come up for that on Friday, come early because they've gotten popular. They're at the Facing Tipping Pavilion now, and it fills up fast.
Indeed, and it's usually standing room only. And you got popular horses: Songbird, California Chroma, Arrogate. 3 horses right there. I mean, hugely popular. And then Corey Nakatani, Fernando Toro, 2 California guys, but really cool honorees for sure. And then some of the pillars of the turf, including Stella Thayer, who's going to be there. Tampa Bay Downs, just kind of an icon in the sport.
Yeah.
So it should be a pretty memorable event. And always trying to push as long. I love going and seeing like the trainers coming in late. Like Bill Mott's coming in. He's training over on Oklahoma, and he's Wayne Lucas, a lot of these guys are going to be there. So you mentioned
wearing
Santos,
their jackets, wearing their Hall of Fame jackets.
Yeah. You mentioned Jose Santos Jr. Speaking of advertisers, Santos Inc. He's an advertiser, so his dad will be there, I'm sure, and guys like that, Cordero, all the cool players. They introduce them all. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw Jose, the dad, the former jockey, the other night. That's where I got his son's phone number. He was at the TRF Gumbo event.
Cool.
I didn't mention that earlier either.
Yeah.
Monday night. Kendrick Carmouche Gumbo. Excellent. Good Gumbo.
Yeah.
Yes.
I missed out. I should have went. Monday was my birthday, so I was kind of celebrating with some friends. Yeah. Played a little golf on Monday. Played a little hooky, Yeah.
I was just saying to somebody, so I ran into a old high school friend at the track the other day and said he'd been playing golf. I said, I haven't played like the last 2 summers. I got to get out, but I got to start at par 3.
So I started playing during the pandemic, it was like 2020. It was a way to kind of meet up with friends. You could do stuff outside and stuff. I hadn't played in years. I used to play a ton, and I hadn't played in years. And now I've kind of played. It's hard to play during the meet, obviously, but the way our schedule now is Wednesday and Saturday, I can almost play on Wednesday or Saturday just because we're kind of done, like in the morning. Yeah. We're the furthest away from the next issue on those mornings. So, like right now, until we have Friday this week. So, quick turnaround. But my last free night tonight for a little while.
So how'd you play?
I actually played pretty good. We played at McGregor. I went with Mark Cassie and Dylan Davis, another friend of theirs. Yeah, Mark he loves playing.
Okay.
You want to get him going. Talk about his golf. He loves talking about golf.
All right.
It's fun. Yeah, I didn't even know. Neither of us really knew that either of us played. And we got to talking about it one day. We've been friends for a long time, and he brought Dylan along. It was a lot of fun. Dylan was playing the day after the Jockey karaoke, so he had some cool stories, some funny stories. So we played the week before. Dylan played a lot better. I think maybe the Jockey karaoke partying was catching up to him, but I'm not here to reveal anything. But
I had Katie Davis on Sunday, and I asked her. She said, "Yeah, she and her husband Trevor, they had something planned." And the report I got, I couldn't make it on Sunday night, but the report I got was she said I'm not much of a singer, but I guess she's a show person.
Okay, well, I mean, she's a show person on the track. I mean, she's doing great, right?
She was certainly part of the show. It sounds like over there. No surprise. So good for her.
Oh, the Davises are great. Yeah. I mean, Robbie, their dad. I mean, he's one of my favorite people. I mean, just such a character, and he kind of has this great love of life, and you come away from talking to Robbie Davis feeling good, and I feel like he's instilled that
all
in
three
his kids.
Of the kids,
yeah, they're such nice kids.
I went over on the day before I had Katie on, and I said to her, like to get you on the show. I need the trifecta of the siblings. Yeah. Because I'd had Dylan and I had Jackie, and now I've put her on the resume.
Get them all on at once.
That's what she said. And I thought that's a great idea. Bring the dad in, maybe bring Trevor in. I don't know. We'll have to have 2 tiers.
Definitely need a moderator. You're going to be up.
Yeah, I may be up against it. I may have to hand the baton to somebody else.
Don't hand him the microphone.
Good idea.
Oh, they're great. They're awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Saratoga Special. You've gone through the schedule, but update us on. I felt like I was treading water last week, handicapping. But how are you guys doing on the handicapping
Well,
side
Charles
of things?
Bedard and John Shapazian are kind of deadlocked in a big battle. I mean, they're like 49, 48, I think.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah, I'm in the 30s. I'm like
Yeah,
38.
I think I'm 38 or 39.
Yeah, and that's that's how you and I are usually pretty consistent. So maybe you and I are the consistent ones. They're the outliers, right? People are giving me a hard time about it. I'm like, I mean, they're lights out.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
crazy.
It's only been 144 races or something. So I mean, that percentage is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Charles, they both had some days where they had 6, 7 winners. With the big cards, maybe the 12 race cards. 5, every now and again. And I look at it and I'm like, oh, I only got like 3. But
no, I'll usually stick in 1 or 2, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
And so far, it's just, and this past week, I just felt like I was treading water.
Yeah, this time of year too. For me, I always like to try to at least keep it kind of close. I always seem like I get a slow start and have to catch up to Shapazian. But this time of year for me, I spent 15 years in Kentucky. So all the people I know from Kentucky are all my friends. The guys at Phasig are great friends of mine. They give me the hardest time about how bad I'm doing, So like it's all anybody talks about. I'm like, did you read the 6,000 words of stories that I wrote in there? Oh no, they want to know about the handicap. Even my girlfriend was like, you got to do better. And I'm like, come on. So I always try to catch up while they're here because they're picking up the paper and looking at it and being like, so today we start,
nice
right?
Friends.
You got to start today.
Right? Yeah. No, and there's always, it seems like a week during the meet where I just do that tread water and then rebound. So I'm hoping. Yeah. I'm hoping for the rebound.
It used to be like if I wasn't paying attention to like the weather as close as I should, and I just would lose. I'd lose all 3 picks because I didn't handicap main track only. And now I'm kind of like, all right, I do it every day, even like a day like today where it's like 0%.
Yeah. I do that because I have picks in the Times Union too. So you put the MTO on top, and because you only get those 3. So
right.
All right, let's get some thoughts going back to the weekend, and there was some some very nice racing. We'll take a look at the stretch run to the Vanderbilt here, and again, that's your cover. Great job there, and you said probably Todd Marks' photo there on the cover, and so good work to him. Thumbs up. Elite Power versus Gunite. I like Gunite, but as we'll see here, Elite Power gets it done, getting up late, the chart margin ahead. Nice performance from the Belmont runner.
Yeah, I'm watching this race is giving me goosebumps just watching it now, and I've watched it a dozen times. I mean, I'm a big Gunite fan. I really like him. I picked Elite Power.
Yeah.
But I love Gunite. He's cool, He kind of is like, he's fast, and he didn't really cut the corner because he kind of had to go wide around Dean Delivers there, turning for home. But I love the way he spurted away there, just like I'm digging down and I'm going for this line, like get me to the line. And Elite Power, I mean, just look, when I saw him in the paddock, I'm just like, he could run in like the Whitney, just looking at him and just leveling out and, making up that ground and just getting up at the end. And it was funny. Everybody at the end was like, he certainly knows where the wire is. He knows where the wire is. And I thought to myself, I got to look back at his PPs. Like, is he always in these close races? He's actually not. Like, he does come from behind, but usually he wins by more. Yeah. I mean, probably he wins by more because he's faced Gunite before, but, Gunite was at the top of his game. I know Steve Asmussen was hugely high on him, which, it's Steve's game, those kind of races, grade 1 sprints like that with a gun runner.
Few years.
He's really proud. It was really awesome for those horses to put on that show. Just an amazing race, and really what Saratoga is all about.
Yeah, I was about to say that's one of the check marks for this season as far as stakes performances.
Oh, just a heavyweight fight,
3-year-old season, 3-year-old scene has been up in the air certainly, and wasn't helped a couple weeks ago or last week by a week ago by the Haskell result. But maybe things sorted out a little bit, or did they? With the Jim Dandy, because it is Forte. There was a little controversy with the stewards looking. But Saudi Crown lightly race steps into stakes company and really gives Forte all he can ask for. The chart margin winds up to be a nose, but Forte, again, in a 3-year-old crop that's a little bit undefined at this point, he now is firmly in the conversation, obviously, with the rebound, nice win in the Jim Dandy.
Absolutely. And, Brad Cox, I talked to him the day of the Jim Dandy. He was hugely high on Saudi Crown. Horse ran big, very talented horse. He's a horse they had up here last summer, so he'll bring his better 2-year-olds up here to try to showcase them and get them to run. Had a little bit of a setback, but so he was a real quality horse. But Forte, he's putting together a resume. Beat Mage in the Florida Derby. He's got the Jim Dandy now. He's got the Fountain of Youth. He's a defending champ. So he's got the second in the Belmont, versus Mage, who's, won the Derby, third in the Preakness, second in the Haskell. He's building a resume too. I mean, they both have really good resumes. Hopefully all signs go to the Travers. And you got Arcangelo in there. He's building his resume. Grade 2 Peter Pan, Grade 1 Belmont. Now he's going to go Travers. So any of those three win the Travers, they're going to be in the lead. I mean, but then you still got the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah,
so we'll
Pennsylvania
see.
Derby too.
And the PA Derby, you might see some horses that come out of the Haskell and or Jim Dandy or the Curlin even going Pennsylvania Derby. Big purse, $1 million race, Grade 1. Huge. I'm going to be down there. I love going down there for that every year. It's going to be fun. Yeah,
and go Rocket Ride if he beats older horses out in Cal. We thought the summer would define things, and maybe the cream will rise to the top of the class, but it'll still be 3 or 4 of them that we'll be talking about.
It will. I think it will. I mean, Brad Cox told me, he says, it seems like these deeper tracks at Naira tracks in the summer, races like the Jim Dandy and the Travers, kind of the cream does come to the top.
Yeah.
And you kind of really get to see who the better horses are. I mean, without a 3-year-old race out on the West Coast, certainly changes things, but does give Go Rocket Ride the chance to beat older horses.
Which is always a check mark on the resume.
Huge, in August or September or whenever they run it now. I think it's
all right. Always like to get the folks from the Saratoga Special to talk a little bit about the Steeplechase race on a Wednesday. Today it's the Jonathan Kaiser Novice, and just for folks who aren't familiar, Novice.
So novice is for horses that are kind of newcomers to the jump game, haven't won certain kinds of stakes races. They meet certain conditions. They have not won over hurdles prior to March 1st, 2022. So they're eligible for that condition. So a horse like Snap Decision, he can't run in here, because he's already been winning over these races. So it's kind of like an entryway and more like a, better than an allowance race. So they get a little bit bigger purse, but qualifies as a stakes in the NSA rules.
Yeah, $75,000 up for grabs in
purse.
here, and it is a nice little field. And I pulled up a replay. I put Barbados on top, and I said on the handicapping show earlier, I was like when jump horses come up to Saratoga off a flat race. Well, how about a Grade 2 in the beaten in the Belmont Gold Cup? But I like that they took the shot there off the nice maiden breaker. And we're looking at the maiden breaker here for Barbados, and you'll see as they go over the last jump and come down the stretch. Nice little ding-dong battle, but Barbados winds up pulling away. So off of this race we're watching, the race 2 back for this one, I tilted in that direction, but Awakened, Caramelized, interesting. Merrymaker, perhaps. What do you see in the open?
Well, Barbados is an interesting horse because he's been up here, actually. Arch Kingsley likes to come up here a little early if he can. He's usually in Aiken, but he comes up here. His horses always seem to translate their form to the flat, more of a flat course with jump races. Versus a lot of that race we just saw, that's up and down on the hills. We're running just on the turf course here, so it's a little faster kind of run race, and his horses seem to adapt to that style. So I picked him second. I went with the house horse. I picked Awakened, which is Sean Clancy's River D stable and 10 Strike Racing.
He's in with Marshall Graham. Nice.
Yeah, so he and Marshall kind of teamed up. They bought this horse from the 5th stable last year, and Shug McGahee, a Curlin out of Daydreaming. Beautiful pedigree for him. I remember watching the races from Ellis Park back in 2021, and Sean was like, I'm going to try to buy this horse. And then he won the race at Ellis, and Sean's like, now I have no chance to buy him. But they bought him and turned him into a nice jumper. Jack Fisher, of course, needs no introduction, inducted in the Hall of Fame. Was it last year, Jack? 2 years ago. And he's done great. He was going to run in a novice stake this spring. They scratched, kind of thinking ahead to this race. Jack had another one for the same race. And Jack won that race. So they kind of zeroed in on Saratoga. Sean's going to be he's going to be a little nervous over there today, I'm sure. He was really good last night in the office. I know when usually he's got a runner the next day, he's a little amped up, but excited more than anything. So, we're hoping he's going to get one down here at Saratoga. So I picked Awakened, and then Caramelized is my third pick. I went on Barbados second, and I Caramelized in the third spot. He comes out of a couple similar novice races.
The race 2 back was certainly
the Carolina Cup, is a very long time race on the NSA schedule, and won it. And the Queen's Cup, you got beat quite a big margin in there. But
by Freddie Funcher.
Layoff, Leslie Young, always her horses are running well. They always run well up here. So, it looks like those three, but, always seems something's going to happen. You know, there's other ones in here. So Cyril Murphy, of course, won the Smithwick, the Grade 1. He's back with McTeague. Carrie Bryan, of course, does a great job of restitution. She brings from the outside with Parker Hendricks, who was having a great year last year. So it's a good race.
Yeah, it's a fun race.
Yeah.
Very fun race. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always like to tout the steeplechase side of things, and that kicks off the Wednesday card. As did Tom Law, kicking off Racing Across America on this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tom, always appreciate the visit. And again, folks can pick it up the Saratoga Special on track, around town, or go to thisishorseracing.com. And again, we'll remind people the selections are available on the website every day.
The Power Grid, which is, we got a sponsor, Toga Party Racing. It's a great guy. He runs the neighborhood kitchen as well, kind of like teamed up, and he's sponsoring it. Yeah, so you can get the picks in the print edition whenever we print. So Friday through Wednesday, obviously with the exception of Monday and Tuesday, no racing. And then you can get it online, thisishorseracing.com. I usually try to put them up the night before, but quite often I'll put them up early in the morning, just kind of, you know, if I get waylaid doing something.
Yeah,
so,
these days with people on their phones and stuff, you always have access.
That's right.
Plenty of time.
Yeah.
Tom, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Seth. Good to see you.
All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, as promised earlier, Matt Miller will join us, the winner of the 2021 BCBC. So we'll talk some contest play. We'll maybe get some ideas for this afternoon. A little bit later on, Jose Santos Jr. will give us some insights into the Jockey agent game, which, again, I think he's kind of revolutionized. So we'll talk about all of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
I think I heard a countdown, but I let Dino know he has to either he has to or my earpiece has kicked out because I was hearing it through the window and not through the earpiece. So, but either way, we're back racing across America on a Wednesday afternoon, and as promised before the break, happy to be joined now by Matt Miller, the 2021 BCBC winner, and we'll talk a little contest play, contest strategy, get some ideas for this afternoon as well. Matt, good morning.
Great to be here. I wasn't expecting it for this trip. I said to Howard Kravitz, who I'm with for this trip, I feel like we're having the best time here. We just go from thing to thing to thing, having a blast. And this is unexpected, but really a pleasure and an honor. So thank you.
I saw you in the winner's circle the other day, and the guys can actually pull up the winner's circle, certified lover boy, and you guys had tweeted it out, and there are you and Howard as part. Howard in the Adelphi group, and they got a nice little win the other day. So that's nice. You come up to Saratoga, and bingo bango, you're in the winner's circle.
I'm being funny and I'm being semi-serious. I called up my wife and said that race may have saved us $1 million plus. I came to Saratoga without $1 invested in a horse. I've never owned any, and I get the benefit of a winner's circle picture in Saratoga. I said, people spend a lifetime trying to get this. I think I'm good. It can't get any better.
Check off the light.
We're jumping around the winner's circle like 5-year-old kids. People are laughing, and yeah, we don't care. And I've got my camera on the whole time. Just we could have been part of a publicity video. It was so the excitement that the pure excitement you want to see out of people. We had a great time.
Yeah, no, I saw you guys right after the race, and that's when I asked you to be on, because Howard Howard is right there, but he'll be on with us in a couple of days with the HHH Racing Podcast crew. I continue to tout for folks, if you haven't seen it, it's worth the visit. I watch over on YouTube a lot at night when I'm handicapping at home, and that's where I was kind of introduced to you. As I think it's safe to say you're a semi-regular, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely not on the team. I'm very intentionally trying to keep a little space, because if I were on the team, I would be trying to take over the team, I'm sure. I love being able to be a regular guest. And look, this isn't a paid advertisement for my friend. And I want to also mention a different friend, Pete Fornatail, who falls into the same category between Howard's podcast and Pete's. And I'm really talking about the flagship show, although Nick is also phenomenal. I've essentially gotten to stop handicapping. I've come to realize what my strengths are and what they aren't. And I've met people that I legit believe to be better at this than I am. Howard puts in a lot more time than I do with replays and things like that. And so it's enabled me to sit back and focus on the bigger picture, the betting. It's really about betting strategy, contest strategy, game theory, money management. And so I lean heavily now into Howard, into Pete, into Nick. Just give me a decent set of picks. And if it's a decent set of picks, I should do okay on the day.
And I want to talk about some of that game theory, because that's what attracted me to inviting you on. I've seen you on the podcast, and I'm always intrigued by listening to the contest players. And you guys, Howard, will have kind of a contest-oriented show after like the BCBC or the NHC or whatnot, and you'll be a guest and talk about some of that theory, which I think is a little bit interesting. Before we do that, let me ask, because I'm always intrigued, regardless of whether we're talking trainers or jockeys or players, how'd you get into the game?
I'll look right into the camera and say it's Grandpa Mike. That was my mom's
That's
dad.
a lot of people. A lot of people have the relative.
He wasn't, I've said this before, he wasn't very good at it, but he was thrilled to have a grandson that showed some interest. The first time I ever went to the track was with a friend. I didn't know anything about anything. I thought all OTBs were intense. Turns out we were at the OTBs at Arlington a few days after it had burned down. And that was the very introduction I got. I do remember hitting my first bet. I think, even back then I was covering myself. I had 2 horses, and I think I 7-2 shot one. I was done for the day. So I started a very small, humble, modest, dollar exacta partial wheel kind of player. Harness races mainly in high school. It turned into thoroughbreds at some point. I still think I was just a very average player, a very typical player. It's really when contests came along. Actually, I'll go back a little bit. When the Pick 6 era was really kicking with the $2 base bet and with nice carryovers, I found a niche for a little while that actually turned me into a pretty profitable player. Even when I would just go to Arlington, I would look for carryovers at other tracks. And there were days that I'd hit 2 or 3 of these things in the same day. I just kind of found a formula. When that well dried up, and for those of you who don't understand, that well has fully dried up. When that well dried up, I've moved on from the multi-race bets. I largely consider them unplayable, even on a carryover day. We will be playing one today, but that is, in my terminology, if you've heard me talk before, I categorize things as, what you're good at and what you like to do, but you're not particularly good at. I go back to the movie Rain Man. You probably heard that analogy of, Rain Man playing blackjack versus that Wheel of Fortune game. I look at that pick six as Wheel of Fortune, but it's fun, and we'll take a shot at it today. But really, it's about, and it's funny. I'm a little scattered. I saw a quote on Twitter the other day that I loved. It's, when you're playing poker, it's not about winning the most number of pots. It's about winning the most money. And I do look at these multi-race bets as a trap where people are trying to hit the bet. They're trying to hit the sequence. It doesn't seem to have in their minds much to do with their picks or opinions. It's about hitting the ticket. And honestly, I think it's all wrong. So when we get to our picks later, I've got a pick six single and I have a pick six bet against. So there was logic in kind of what I chose here, but.
It's interesting you started, because I got into the game across the street at the harness track when I was a kid. You used to come up here on summer nights and play the harness horses. Then eventually I still love going over there, but I'm more keyed into, obviously, the thoroughbreds now. You've kind of alluded to it, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you here was to talk a little bit about contest play and your thoughts, and you've talked about game theory and whatnot. And I have to admit, I play these low rollers over here, and I tell people to do that, and I've now, over the past couple of years, started playing a lot of online, and I just miss getting to the NHC. Like 80 cents. With 2 weeks to it had to be one of the last contests back in February or March, and I'd love to get out there because we've gone out and covered it a couple of times, and that's a lot of fun. Oh, the first thing I'll ask you, and I think I know the answer to this question, but what do you prefer, NHC pick and pray or BCBC live money?
I don't want to get too controversial or say anything that gets anybody too upset. Live money format, live money bankroll for me is an infinitely more pure way of playing. I do think the other way, strangely, is better suited to a game theory approach. So it is funny. I do play on horse players or horse tourneys. I've qualified for the NHC, 4, 5, 6 times, through there quite a bit. It would completely infuriate people playing on those sites to understand how I managed to win those tournaments. Usually without looking at past performances, it is completely handicapping the competition and their tendencies. I'll just give a simple example. If you do one of those low ratio $500 tournaments, for $500, people get very conservative, and so their picks tend to be a little lower in odds. So if you just target that 6 to 10 to 1 range, people are too scared. Well, all you need is a couple of those, and away you go. If you're in one of these crazy ones that has 400 people, you just got to be right. Yeah. I mean, some people will disqualify themselves by virtue of just really bad stabs and crazy picks, but other than that, I look at it as a bit of a crapshoot. So I don't want to disparage those sites. I recognize, I'm thinking of a buddy, Evan Tromer in particular, who is just killing that circuit these days. There is no question there is a real talent there. It's just not my preferred method. And in part, that's because I'm aware of what my own edge is. I never thought in my life I'd be talking this way, especially in front of a camera. But my edge now tends to be guts. I'm playing with house money, and it just allows me to play with a freedom that other people cannot do. You look at the end of these tournaments and I'm looking right at some of these people and saying, I understand you, and I'm not being critical. The number of people that finish with 3,000 on the button, 5,000 on the button, 10,000 on the button, their mentality was, okay, this is a lot of money. I'm just going to bet down to this and I'm going to stop. You can just tell in talking to me, there is no chance I am going to put any amount of ammunition in my pocket during one of these tournaments. I mean, I'm all the ammo I can get, I'm going to use to my advantage and to leverage that. And I just think many of us are playing entirely different games in these tournaments. And at least until, I'm probably most afraid of the poker players in the world coming over to horse racing, because I do think they get it much, much better. And those are the competitors I'm most afraid of. It's not the expert handicappers. There's an awful lot of people, including the old me, that couldn't have possibly told you how to turn $7,500 into $150,000 in the same day. I wouldn't have even known what to do before. Oh yeah, I mean, at this point, there's a full method. This is not an advertisement, and I might end up embarrassing myself. I'm recently retired. The first thing I'm going to do is write a book. So I'm coming home from Saratoga. The book is going to be somewhat about life lessons, game theory, but there will be plenty of gambling and tournament examples. And yeah, this will be a big part of it.
So next summer we'll have you on touting the book, hopefully.
Terrific.
But let's just because we're getting closer. I got to kind of wrap things. I want to get thoughts,
Sure.
but I did want to show the picture of you getting the big. I always love the big check. Take the big check home. I always want somebody to bring the big check to the bank. see if they'll cash the big check. But I should also note, I would love if I had some fake glasses here so I could lift them up. I can't quite see, but doesn't that say 543K on there? That's a nice day at the office.
It was pretty
good job.
Thank you. It was. I mean, it's a career highlight. Obviously, the answer is yes. When it's amazing how karma comes back. When you are nice to nice people are nice back. Tim Schramm is about as good a guy as you could possibly put in that spot. And when I look at him as a fan and say, that check would be unbelievably cool in my basement, you bet he found a way to get that to me. And it is funny. For a while, that felt like a fun flex. I did keep it in the basement, by the way. But the first time the electrician came downstairs and went to the box and looked over, that check is now in a closet. It was just too embarrassing. I couldn't do it.
I love that. And I also had to show, again, we're running late, but I had to show the Knicks Go win in the BCBC class, in the Breeders' Cup Classic, because this was your big wager on the day. Talk about the wager and talk about your thoughts as they're coming down the stretch with the win by Knicks Go.
This was money in the bank already, in my opinion. So once Joel took him to the center of the track, which was where you wanted to be, I had no concerns in the stretch drive, and it was an unbelievable gift to know for 20-something seconds that you got it. This isn't super fun. It's not like I have some wild story. I had a target that I wanted to achieve in the tournament. I had a horse that I was reasonably certain what the odds would be based on double probables and all that kind of stuff. I needed 33 grand to win to bet him on. My hope was to put 33,000 to win at 3-1. So he goes off at 3.2 to 1, and I make a little more than I expected. Okay, that part actually wasn't the hard part of the tournament, nor was the step to get me there, which was just a big win bet on Life is Good at 3-5. Again, I'm looking at this very methodically, and I knew to get from 24K to 33, who wouldn't just take Life is Good to win? I mean, that sounds so simple when I'm looking at it in retrospect. At the time, you're looking at a million choices, and it's so hard, and I could bet less on long shots. And I do think that's a great fallacy at the Breeders' Cup that, yes, there are amazing horses at amazing prices, but favorites do win. And go back and look at some of these recent Breeders' Cup winners, including 21. There aren't massive long shots. It's not like people are hitting crazy things. I think that's infinitely harder to do than to essentially parlay together 3 or 4 pretty logical things to happen.
We'll talk to one of the HHH podcast group, Paul Halloran, who put together a very nice day in the contest earlier this year with some logical horses as well. But I could talk to you, and maybe we'll figure something out to talk more at some point here when we're down in the studio or whatnot, because I could talk about even more. You've already alluded to it, coming into a contest with the goal. You're not just looking to cash tickets. You have an amount you want at the end of the contest, because you're kind of looking what's the par to win the contest. It's all, to me, it's been fascinating to listen to you on podcast and some of the other contest players, because I think ultimately it helps the handicapping overall on a day-to-day basis. And speaking of day-to-day handicapping, let's get a couple of thoughts. You said you had 1 year on and 1 year off today, 8th race this afternoon, and this week you sat down, you were telling me, and I was perfectly happy with both of your thoughts. 8th race, the Della Rose, a mile on the grass. What did you see in the Della Rose this afternoon?
I see one horse, and I'm no offense to any of the others, I'm looking at technical analysis. Look, the lifetime record's ridiculous. The Saratoga turf record's ridiculous. But I'm looking at the pattern. And if you look in, as the horse went from 21 to 22, that first race back in 22 ran a really respectable second place by a half. Maybe needed the race because comes back in a grade 3 at Pimlico and blows the doors off the competition. Went on to have a nice season, but okay, let's fast forward. We now have a break from October to July. Really? Second by half a length? I mean, this looks like a carbon copy. Yeah. And so I think this horse is sitting on a monster. 3 of 4 at Saratoga. You've got so many questions answered for you already. What are we, what kind of odds are we going to get? Well, that's my focus because 9 to 5, I don't think is realistic. There are some other horses here with some pretty nice looking records that hope, I like seeing a bunch of ones because I know that freaks people out. If I can get 1 to 1, again, it's an even money horse. I can guarantee, it's one of my primary rules in how I do this. If my main opinion on the day wins, I will walk out if you're a winner. And so regardless of anything that happens, my money will be weighted such that even on a 1 to 1 shot, I'll figure it out, whether it's doubles going in or out of them or a win bet, something like that.
I like it because I like technical analysis too. And I, like you, I love those year-to-year kind of. I think it maybe shows some trainer intent. It shows the horse and how the horse works into form and whatnot. 10th race today, the finale. Again, I said when you sat down, you talked, I said, I'm in the same boat as you here. A horse that you're going to play against in the finale?
Again, I'm always very careful with my words to not be disparaging or accuse anyone of anything. I find Vax to be really suspect here.
I'm already with you.
The drop is obscene. This is either, and I don't know Linda Rice, and I promise I don't mean anything by this. This is either a trainer just aggressively going after a training title at Saratoga with a certain winner,
which is a possibility.
But you're looking at a horse coming back off of not a lot of time. It just doesn't, something just smells wrong to me here. And what I then love is you look at the next logical horse. I believe that means the eagle in Spanish. I'm not sure how to pronounce it fully. At 1 for 37, literally that's all the handicapping I need to do on that horse. I'm going to invite the listeners to just go ahead and go shopping on the rest. I don't have a winner for you. I don't think you need one. When you've got the top 2 price horses in a race, that are going to be taking all the money. Okay, my buddy Howard likes, I think he said the 4 baby socks. Into touring is a little interesting. We'll have to see. I'm getting a text right now from someone telling me that Vax is scratched. That is not a huge surprise.
Yeah,
but okay, you can still take exactly what I just said and apply it to the 6 horse, who, again, looks like a highly suspect favorite. You're in the last race of a pick 6 sequence. People are dying to single, maybe go too deep. I would invite people to go shopping. I don't know, and I know I am one of these people, without getting into the whole nasty Twitter argument, I am one of these people that says if you don't like a horse, don't include him. So I will not mind losing to the 6. I mean, if that horse is 2 to 1 or less at 1 for 37, be my guest. And if I lose, I lose, but I'm going to be alive to all the better payouts.
Well,
instead.
my dark horse play of the day brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga. Baby Sacks, the number 4 horse.
Yes.
I thought that horse was a little bit interesting.
Totally agree.
So I'm in exactly the same boat as you. And yeah, the scratch maybe not a surprise there. It just seemed that it all seemed a little bit of a chin scratcher, as I like to say. Matt, appreciate it. Again, we could continue talking for quite a while, but we have to move on. Appreciate your stopping by. And again, I'll tout the HHH Racing podcast. We'll have those guys on in a couple of days as well, but you can see Matt fairly often on that broadcast as well. But we appreciate the visit today and enjoy the rest of the visit to Saratoga.
I'm thrilled to be here. And, like I said, the crazy part is this was the add-on part of the trip. The real fun is starting. I mean, I just can't believe the good fortune we're having we'll be around. So if anyone wants to talk or whatever, we're always happy to do that. But yeah, thanks for having me. This has been
Excellent.
terrific.
Happy to have you. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, Jose Santos Jr., we'll talk a little bit about the jockey agent game and more. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, joined now by Jose Santos Jr. Again, the offspring of funny side jockey Jose Santos. And I saw Jose at the TRF event Monday night, and I asked for the phone number for his son because I wanted to talk a little bit on the jockey agent side of things. So we're happy to have Jose Santos Jr. join us. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Very good. Happy
Awesome
to have you on board to talk a little bit about the jockey side of things. Before we get to that, unfortunately, Funny Side passed away. I got Jack Knowlton coming in tomorrow for Memories of Funny Side. There's a little event coming up as well, but you were just a little guy. I remember the pictures when your dad was riding the horse. What are your memories of Funny Side?
Oh, a bunch of them. I've been very lucky the last few years growing up in Kentucky. After I left Miami for college, I moved to Kentucky, and Funny Side was at the horse park, so I got to see him all the time. And, of course, the lead up through the Derby, Preakness, and then his 4-year-old campaign and so on and so forth. So Funny Side holds a very special place in my heart and my family's heart, and a lot of racing fans as well.
Yeah, no question about it.
Quite the war horse.
Yeah. No question about it. Certainly be fun to talk to Jack tomorrow as well with some memories. And again, there's an event coming up. We'll talk a little bit more about that also. But one of the reasons I wanted to bring you in was because you are a jockey's agent. And I think a lot of folks are maybe unfamiliar with what goes on there. So we'll talk a little bit about the basic nuts and bolts. But as I said earlier, I think you've kind of revolutionized the jockey agent game with what you're doing now with jockeys across the country. Most jockey agents maybe have a couple of jockeys, and they'll be at one venue, maybe at a certain time of year. There'll be one venue and a second venue. Looking up your jockeys, and I think we have a picture here of your lineup. Raylu Gutierrez, Cabrera, the Biscuitza, Esquivel, Goncalves, Manrique, and Diaz. They're races all around. So you have 7 different jockeys, and I put together a little video also of stretch runs going back just a few days ago, a little bit less than a week. And we're looking at jockeys at Hawthorne, Louisiana Downs, and Raylu out at the Finger Lakes. So again, this is a little bit different than the normal jockey agent. Talk about how you fell into this kind of coming at it from a different direction and the number of jockeys you're representing?
You know, it was always an idea in my head. Working as a jockey agent, I started when I was 19 years old, and I always felt like I had a bunch of free time, and I was like, if I could ever figure out a way to spread it out, have riders in multiple jurisdictions, of course, I don't have any children or, anything like that. So I've got a lot of free time on my hands. If I'm not working, then really it's just hanging out. And I was always trying to figure out a way to make it happen. And COVID happened, and all the draws started going on the Zoom. And I saw that, and I took it as my opportunity. I said, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen right now. And just kind of jumped right into it. And, there's been some tweaks along the way, of course, because I didn't really have much guideline to go off of, just kind of what I had thought in previous years of what might work. And fortunately, we've been able to make it work. Of those 7 riders that you posted, I believe 6 of them I've represented for over a year now, so I'm really happy with the fact that, we've been able to keep guys on, and come November, Adam will be a full year as well. So, it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot. Still feel like I have a lot of more room to grow in it as well. I have a team behind me that helps me as well, of course. So it's just mainly staying organized, staying in contact with people, and staying consistent.
I was going to have Raylu in the other day, and he had something come up, so hopefully we'll get him in at some point. But in prep for having him in, read an article and you two coming together, and I talked a little bit about at some point you weren't sure you were going to continue being a jockey's agent.
I had a 6-month period where I had no one to represent. I didn't have any riders that I could get at the moment. And my mom, she was helping support me at the time. And she told me, I love you, and I know this is your dream, but, we got to be realistic, and, you got to have a job. And she actually got me a job working at Gulfstream on the TV, because, I was in school for broadcast communication, and, it was an obvious step to go do that. And 3 weeks before I was leaving to go do that, David Cabrera called me and asked me if I'd be his agent at Oaklawn. And I made a phone call to Jared Caldwell, because he was the only guy I knew in Oklahoma. And he told me, hang up the phone right now and you call him back and you tell him you're going to be his agent. So I called him and we spoke, and I told him, yeah, let's do it. And I had to call my mom, and she wasn't very happy about that. But ever since then, thankfully, things have been on the up, and now I've been with David for 5 years. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Excellent. You say you have a team, but describe a little bit what your day is like, because again, you're representing jockeys literally across the country. So what is that like in condition books, and how do you follow, and how do you keep in contact with the trainers you have to have relationships with?
Just on the phone mainly, a lot of texting and calling when it comes to, staying in contact with the trainers. A lot of phone calls to the racing offices, of course, on entry days, entering horses, checking on races. And then, just wake up early, wherever I'm at. I go out to that racetrack most mornings and, go see whoever I need to go see, even if it's just quick, a couple stop-ins, and just stay on the iPad, stay on the computer, stay looking up horses and updating what's happened, days past, claims, horses to run, workouts, and all that.
Give for folks who aren't familiar, just give the basics of what being a jockey agent is, because a lot of people, I think, don't realize that's how many, if not most probably, jockeys do get teamed up with their mount in the afternoon. Just give an explanation.
So I just, I do their booking in the mornings, booking for their races. And as you said, jockeys, it's a race-to-race contract. There's no full-on contract. So a condition book will come out probably 3 weeks prior to when the actual races will happen. And once that comes out, I'm on the computer trying to figure out which horses are going to go in which races. Of course, you have your list of, horses you've ridden that you want to ride back, get in contact with those people right away. And then once I see what races I'm opening, I'm just going race by race, trying to fill in the blanks. Where can I get on a live horse? If I don't feel like I can get on a live horse, I'll try to wait. And, maybe something happens, a rider's out of town or a horse comes open, and, just trying to get them on the best horses I can, while also, keeping the people who you do business with constantly happy as well.
So once you figured out, or have the idea of what horses are you're calling up the trainers.
Yes,
and saying,
calling,
hey,
texting, hey,
my guy,
this horse, this race, hopefully we can link up. And sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. They have another rider in mind, and that won't deter me from trying again the next time.
So what is your schedule like as far as travel? Are you going to all of these tracks at some point or another where your jockeys are running?
Yeah, I would say I travel about once every 2 weeks to one of the locations. Usually I'll stay in, like this last summer, I stayed in Dallas for the summer. It's a really good spot for me to fly out. My girlfriend and I, we live over there in Dallas, so that airport's unbelievable. I can be in Louisville in an hour and a half. I can be in Oklahoma City in 45 minutes. I can be in New Orleans in 50 minutes. I can be in New York in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So Dallas is where I'm spending most of my time.
So that's home base.
Yes, home base is Dallas. Yes.
Very good. So what's your summer like? Because I know when I talked to your dad, I think you were out at the Finger Lakes. You said you were going to be back here.
Yes.
You said you were walking around the backstretch earlier this morning. So what's the summer like?
This is the summer place to be. So everyone's here, and if you're not at Saratoga, or Del Mar, I feel like you're really not fully into the game on what's happening. And in the summertime, a lot of my riders are shipping around for stakes, and this is a great place to run into people to find that out. So this is my second year where I've stayed the full summer here, and I believe that's going to be the plan. It's
and you said you were walking around the backstretch, because Ray Lou's kind of been back and forth.
Yes.
So he's been riding here a little bit, but you don't really have a regular here. But you just work the backstretch because here's where the horsemen are.
For instance, like Ray Lou riding in a place like Ellis, and Adam in Colonial, and riding at Ellis as well. A lot of those trainers, they're here with their main strings, and if I walk around Colonial or Ellis, I'm going to run in.
Yeah.
To their assistant trainers, and they're going to lead me the best they can, but at the end of the day, they're most likely going to call the head trainer to get the final word. So I figured be over here and get it done myself.
So I said you have, I think, as far as a jockey agent, kind of revolutionized the game. Is that fair to say? Do you feel that way?
I don't really feel that way. I'm doing what I love. That's the way I see it. I'm having a lot of fun. I love watching horse racing. I love being involved with the riders, because I myself wanted to be a rider, and clearly I got too big, but this is as close as I'm ever going to get. And to be involved in that many races and have the relationship with the riders and also the trainers, I grew up knowing a lot of these people, whether they were wanting to be trainers at the time or my dad rode for them, so it's just fun. It feels safe and home, and I love what I do.
I hadn't thought of that either. You talk about, watching the you must spend your day. How many races do you watch? You want to watch your rider, and so how many races do you watch?
I've had days where we were involved in, I wouldn't say 47 races, because sometimes my riders are riding against each other, but I've had days where it's 47, 50 mounts in a day, and it's fun though. It's a lot of fun,
because you're vested in
all
of that.
You're in it, and even races you're not involved in, you want to be in those races, so you got to watch and see what happens, and hopefully an opportunity comes out of watching the race.
So you've been around, obviously, since you were a kid with your dad and whatnot, but now representing all these jockeys. Do you have a favorite racetrack, or a couple or three favorite spots?
This is my favorite racetrack right here. Yeah, I mean, the first racetrack I ever went to was Saratoga. I was 10 days old. My dad won the Jim Dandy on Unaccounted For, and then the next week he won the Whitney on Colonial Affair. And I've been coming here every single summer except for the COVID year. I've been here every summer at some point, and it's special. That's for sure. Everyone who comes, they know that it's special.
I'm a homer, so I definitely agree, but I certainly like to hear that. Well, Jose, we really appreciate the visit this morning, because, again, I wanted to bring in, just because I think a lot of people, as I say, I think we draw a lot of new people in to watch during the meet, and I don't think they're familiar maybe with what a jockey agent does, but you've kind of, I think, raised the bar a little bit with the 7 jockeys around the country, so I wanted to talk about that as well. Congratulations on the 7 jockeys, 7 successful jockeys, and again, managing that and whatnot, and wish you a lot of good luck going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Happy to do it. Jose Santos Jr., again, as I say, I feel kind of has revolutionized the jockey agent game, certainly, and keeping his computer warm on Zoom, checking out the entries at the various racetracks for his jockeys as well. All right. We'll wrap it up for this Wednesday morning as we kick off week number 4 here at Saratoga. Beautiful day. Come on up if you have plans to do so and enjoy the racing. If you don't have plans, maybe change them, because it's going to be a gorgeous day of racing up here at Saratoga. We'll be back in tomorrow for the morning programming, 9 a.m. Handicapper support, 10 a.m. Racing Across America. Enjoy the racing today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku.
The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.